Hey everybody, this is Scott with Brutality Skirmish Wargame. Now that Brutal Space is pretty much all wrapped up, I'm waiting for my final test copy, etc., etc., if you've been following the Facebook page. I am busy at work on the next supplement for Brutality Skirmish Wargame. We had a vote on the Facebook page, and the settlement mode is the new supplement. So you're going to be able to build your own town, and you're going to be able to get NPCs to join you, and you're going to have events where you have to defend your town, or you have a drought, and you're going to starve if you don't go do such and such, gather supplies, etc. And you can also, there's a Nemesis style system where randomly some of the enemies that you face, the leader is going to begin to despise you. And he or she is going to start hounding you, and they're going to get stronger and stronger every time you interact with them. And it's really, really fun. And you can have more than one nemesis, so you could have a lot of enemies out there if you're rolling poorly. So I decided to test this out. My playtesting has been with this guerrilla gang, and I really, for the purposes of this video, I really don't need to get into any specifics about them, but basically you play a campaign as normal. So these guys are going to be doing missions, and in their home phase they can build, and there's a home phase events and all that for their town. And originally, you are supposed to scatter terrain, and this is what it looks like when I scattered my terrain. So that is basically the spot that you picked for it. And you can remove any of the terrain if it's in your way. Over time, you can chop down the trees or whatever, but I never did that. And your people begin with their own 3-inch by 3-inch abode. Each member has that. As you can see here, I've got them all standing on top of their houses, so you know that some of those buildings are actually 3 inches by 6 inches, so that counts as 2 different houses. Basically, I mean, narratively, you could say they're roommates, you could narratively say that there's a partition inside, it really doesn't matter. But you'll see that sometimes there's 2 models per one building instead of 1. So we're going to fast forward towards, I lost track of how many games this is, probably 6 games or so. And this is the results that we got after 6 games. So this is the really exciting part for me. We spent quite a bit of time and resources building these walls. You'll see these 3 sections of wall. And then that's to the east. To the north, you'll see 2 other sections of wall. And that helps funnel enemies in if you get attacked, if your settlement gets attacked. And it's a pretty nice defense, but it does take time to build, time that you won't be building buildings for. Now, this first building, you'll see, took a while to build because it's actually 2 different abodes. We got an NPC healer first, and there's that lady on the right. And then we got a new member eventually. We call him Fists, and he's on the left. And they are going to share a house together. Let's just say they're 2 different apartments. A bit later on, you'll see we added a second story to one of our original houses because we got yet another warband member, and he's the flamer guy. You see our crates are those stairs. I mean, you don't have to do that, but that was fun and narrative. You'll see that those guys are still in their house. And this is a merchant that we eventually got, so he's got his own house. And then we also got a priest of Ishtar. So the healer and the priest and the merchant all give us passive abilities, which are great for our warband in exchange for us protecting them from slavers or invaders or monsters that might come in. In addition to walls and other things, there are wells and there are gardens and other things that you can upgrade your settlement with. I decided to go for the well in case we come up with a drought or anything like that. That'll help us against that. And if you end up getting a farmer NPC, they will help you against famine if you end up rolling that event chart result. Now, that picture I just showed you a minute ago was a little misleading because this Ishtar guy, this priest, he had very low morale to begin with, and we actually failed one of our missions, and he left afterwards. He essentially said that we couldn't protect him, so he left. So he's actually no longer part of the town. But you do get the point. They all have their own morale, they all have their different strengths and weaknesses, they have their different personalities, which is just helpful for narrative or RPG reasons, and it's a lot of fun. So you might wonder how you keep track of all this. Well, obviously, in a perfect world, you would be able to just leave this out on your table indefinitely while you play your campaigns and all that. But for most of us, we have to write it down on a piece of paper. Preferably, I would have done grid paper, but I didn't have any grid paper or grid tablets, so I just measured it out, and basically when all your things scatter and where you decide to build your buildings, you just measure that out, and you can basically put them back in the right spot afterwards. I mean, it's not super crucial, just as long as everything's vaguely in the right area. If you don't have any space at all to do this, you could just have your town strictly on paper. I mean, it doesn't really matter that much. You could also, if you don't have a lot of terrain, you say, Scott, I don't own a lot of terrain. How am I going to build a town? That really shouldn't be an issue. If you just want to have your town on paper, and you would only have to put your buildings down if you get assaulted or whatever, that's fine. Another alternative, because I try to keep this open for all different playstyles and all different types of people, you really could just treat your town as a network in the town that you live, because normally your settlement or your home base in the game is kind of abstract. You don't actually have buildings or anything like that. And if you absolutely have no terrain to use that would work for buildings or whatever, of course, remember, people can live in trees, people can live in holes in the ground, etc. But if you don't even want to go that far, you could just say that these different NPCs that would normally join your settlement are just new connections that you've met in your network of people for your warband. I don't think that's quite as fun, but of course, you know, in a perfect world, everybody would have plenty of terrain and plenty of space to leave it out, etc. So anyway, hopefully this is interesting to you, and hopefully you guys are excited about it. I would love to hear back from you guys in the comments or anything like that on Facebook. And this is very, very exciting for me. This is adding a whole new level of roleplay to your warbands. Oh, and one more thing, probably one of the most important things of this supplement. I honestly should have mentioned it prior to now, probably earlier in the video, so that people that clicked out of it earlier don't miss out on this. But all of your NPCs give you missions as well. So you have missions from events from the event table for your settlement, such as, you know, you're being invaded or people are trying to burn down. They can literally come in and try to burn down your settlement if they want your area or whatever. They can take your NPCs or your warband member as slaves if you fail that invasion mission. There's a lot of stuff that can go on. But also, your NPCs give you different missions. And if you, sometimes an NPC won't join your settlement until you complete this X, Y, or Z mission for them. Or it could be that in addition to giving you passive abilities for your warband, your NPCs also just give you random missions. Oh, I've got a friend that's in trouble. Can you go help him? Blah, blah, blah. And there will always be some sort of reward, either gold or items or whatever. They'll offer services. So I'm very, very excited about this. And once again, adding more role-playing into the game.